Now let's take a look at Nazi racial views. This will be an overview of their beliefs and the different groups, and then in another section we'll look at Jewish people specifically and how the persecution of Jews escalated during the reign of the Nazi Party. So, Nazi racial views quite straightforward, really. You have the master race called the Herrenvolk. They were the people that Nazis believed were of pure Aryan descent. Tall, blonde hair, blue-eyed, athletic, perfect soldiers, superior to everyone genetically. A master race brought about through selective breeding, and therefore, if you were Aryan, you were not supposed to have relationships with anybody who was non-Aryan. You have an obligation to your race. SS essential due to recruitment requirements. If you wanted to be in the SS, you had to be Aryan because they were walking, talking propaganda for the Third Reich and a demonstration of the truth of their superiority. You also have the Lebensborn race farms where SS visited to breed for pure race. So if you were an unmarried Aryan woman, you could go to a Lebensborn and SS soldiers would visit with the purpose being to impregnate you. Effectively, a Nazi brothel designed to produce pure blood Aryan children for the future Third Reich, or for the future Reich. You also get, on the flip side of this, the Nazis believe in subhumans, or the Untermenschen. Other races that weren't Aryan were seen as inferior, in particular the Jews and the Slavs. Nazis thought they should be removed from society to stop pollution of the bloodline. They depict them as sort of spies, parasites, hoping to feed off the prosperity of the Herrenvolk. At the time, there were only 500,000 Jews in Germany in 1933, but they occupied some of the highest paying jobs. This meant many Germans were jealous of their success and suspicious of their religion and different culture, different way of dressing and all these things. Same thing as what you saw in Whitechapel with the integration. Jews were an easy target, so was used as a scapegoat for all of Germany's failings, really, all the way from, the surrender at the end of World War One to the fate of the Weimar Republic to the Wall Street crash. The Jews are scapegoated for a wide variety of things. Those who didn't help Untermenschen were seen as people who didn't help and were therefore seen as a burden on the community. They were seen as worthless and expensive. We've seen the propaganda pictures of Nazi Germany where it shows mentally ill people and it depicts the cost to look after them and then how much it could support the army for a day and things like that. We've seen these propaganda pictures, these foul propaganda pictures. These beliefs were reinforced constantly in schools, targeting children through the use of eugenics and race studies. So people in Nazi Germany would have been told this from the moment they started school. They're told it from children. So that by the time you grew up, effectively, you'd been trained to accept this unquestionably. It was truth to you. How were minorities treated differently by the Nazis then? They were considered worthless, expensive, undesirable, and therefore a bad influence on the rest of Germany. The Nazis effectively believe if you get rid of these Untermenschen, it would be a better life in Germany for the rest of us. They are a burden on society. So you have gypsies. There's only 30,000 in Germany. They are non-Aryan and are labelled as work shy. The Nazi view of gypsies, the reason why they're a threat to the Nazis is they don't conform, they travel around, they are very difficult to indoctrinate, pin down, and control. So they're a threat because they are non-conformist. In 1935, they were banned from marrying Aryans. In 1938, it was declared a struggle against the gypsy plague. Vagrants were also seen as a problem because they're unproductive, once again, difficult to pin down, non-conformist lifestyle, people wandering around looking for work. In 1938, the SS rounded up 100,000 vagrants and put them in camps, forcing them to work. They're seen as a work-shy burden, making life difficult for the rest of Germany, particularly the Aryans. Why should the Aryans lose out? Because of these vagrants and gypsies. And you also get black people in Germany, obviously non-Aryan. In 1935, they are also banned from marrying Aryans. They were often sterilized. They even sterilized mixed race or black children. If you remember the French invasion of the Ruhr, a lot of the French soldiers that were put into the Ruhr were black, and then sometimes would have had relations with Germans, leading to mixed race children. A lot of those children would have been sterilised as a result of this policy. Finally, you get the mentally ill, labelled as work shy, and mental illness was seen as being hereditary. Therefore, the Nazis believed if you were mentally ill, you should not be allowed to breed because you would pass it on to the next generation, further risking that pollution of the bloodline. By 1943, 300,000 mentally ill people had been sterilised. A public ambulance service was even set up in the war, which would go around and kill the mentally ill, killing around 70,000 people. Notice the phrasing there. It says public ambulance service. Ambulance is usually there to help people, but this one would go around and kill the mentally ill. The reason why, if you look at the phrasing again, it says public ambulance service, as in this is a service for the good of the general public. Next video, we'll look at the increased persecution of Jews in more detail.